The Invisible Thieves. Introduction. Have you ever stepped out of a conversation and felt as though someone had quietly stolen your strength? Perhaps your body was not physically tired, yet your heart felt heavy, your thoughts clouded, your spirit diminished. This is not imagination. This is the subtle but very real phenomenon of energy drain, and if you felt it, you are not alone. Across every culture, every spiritual tradition, every age of humanity, people have recognized this invisible exchange of vitality. The Vedic texts of India spoke of prana, the breath of life, the current that sustains all things. Chinese sages called it qi, the vital force that animates the cosmos and flows through the meridians of the body. In Christian mysticism, it was the virtue that Jesus felt leaving him when touched by someone in need of healing. Even modern physics, in its exploration of fields and resonance, brushes close to the same truth. We are not isolated machines, but interwoven beings whose energies interact constantly. Science has begun to catch up with what mystics always knew. Research on emotional contagion shows how moods ripple through social groups like invisible currents. Studies at the HeartMath Institute reveal that the human heart generates a measurable electromagnetic field that can influence others within several feet. Neuroscience speaks of mirror neurons, tiny circuits in the brain that make us feel another's emotion as if it were our own. Different languages, different metaphors, but all pointing to one simple reality. We affect each other energetically in ways deeper than words or gestures. In the next hour, I want to walk with you through the unseen architecture of your energy, how it flows, how it's stolen, how it's replenished, and how you can protect it. This isn't about superstition. It's about reclaiming the one resource more precious than money, time, or opportunity, your life force. Because when your energy is compromised, every other resource slips through your fingers. But when your energy is strong, you become radiant, creative, magnetic, able to face life's challenges without being hollowed out by them. Together, we'll explore ancient wisdom and modern science, practical techniques and spiritual practices. You'll discover how to recognize the 5 archetypes of people who unconsciously siphon your vitality, and you'll learn how to meet them without losing yourself. You'll practice methods of cleansing and restoration, drawn from timeless traditions and proven by lived experience. And most importantly, you'll learn to anchor in your own field of vitality so firmly that no person, no environment, no unseen influence can bend you away from your truth. By the end, you will no longer feel at the mercy of people and spaces that deplete you. Instead, you'll stand firm, radiant, and strong, fully alive in your own energy and free to give from abundance rather than sacrifice. Chapter 1. The Constant Complainer. There is a certain heaviness that settles into the room long before the words arrive. You feel it in the way your body tenses, in the subtle tightening of your chest, in the way your spirit instinctively braces itself. And then it begins, the endless stream of grievances, one complaint after another, pouring into the air like smoke that clouds your vision. This is the presence of the constant complainer, the first of the 5 types of people who will drain you completely. At first glance, their complaints may not seem threatening. After all, everyone vents now and then. But there is a profound difference between the occasional release of frustration and the chronic pattern of feeding on negativity. The complainer is not simply sharing pain, they are transmitting it, projecting it, weaving it into the very fabric of the conversation so that you become their carrier. What they cannot resolve in themselves, they attempt to offload onto you. Metaphysically, every complaint carries a vibration. When words of lack and dissatisfaction are spoken, they ripple outward like waves on water. And because energy seeks resonance, those waves seek to hook themselves into the nearest receptive field, yours. If your aura is not shielded, those hooks latch into your solar plexus chakra, the energetic center of your will and confidence, siphoning vitality with each repetition. Think of it this way. Your aura is like a luminous garment, woven of light, shimmering with your life force. Every time you absorb someone else's complaints, small tears appear in that fabric. One conversation may seem harmless, but repeated exposure leaves you frayed, your energy leaking until you wonder why you feel so tired, even though nothing happened. Science, too, has a language for this. Psychologists call it emotional contagion. Studies show that when we listen to someone who is deeply negative, our bodies unconsciously mirror their tone, posture, and mood. Our nervous systems synchronize, and soon we feel the weight they carry, as though it were ours. To the modern scientist, this is neurobiology. To the mystic, it is energy transfer. Both point to the same truth. You cannot immerse yourself in the vibration of chronic complaining without being touched by it. But here lies the deeper danger. Complaints do not remain confined to words. Over time, they shape reality. To dwell in the vibration of lack is to weave threads of lack into the very tapestry of your life. When you surround yourself with constant complainers, their worldview becomes a subtle hypnotic script whispering in your mind. Life is unfair, nothing ever works out, nothing is ever enough. And the moment you accept that script, your frequency lowers. You begin to manifest scarcity instead of abundance, problems instead of solutions, heaviness instead of lightness. Perhaps you've noticed this before. You sit with a friend who catalogues every misfortune, the rude driver, the broken appliance, the boss who never appreciates them. You nod, you listen, you offer sympathy. But when you finally part ways, the rest of your day feels different. Food tastes duller, colors seem muted, your motivation slips away. Nothing catastrophic occurred, yet something in you dimmed. That is the invisible theft of your energy. Why do complainers do this? On the surface, it seems they want solutions, but that is rarely true. What they seek is validation for their suffering. Their complaints are not cries for help, but rituals of reinforcement. By repeating the narrative of victimhood, they ensure its continuity. They are not asking you to free them, they are asking you to join them, and when you do, your energy becomes fuel for their pattern. So how do you protect yourself without becoming cold or unkind? The first step is awareness. The moment you recognize that the heaviness you feel does not originate within you, you reclaim power. Say to yourself silently, "This is not mine to carry." Imagine the words like arrows falling short of your heart, dissolving before they reach your field. Second, visualize your aura as a golden shield. Each complaint that arrives strikes the surface and slides away, unable to penetrate. See the complainer's words as smoke that dissipates in the light of your radiance. You do not fight them. You do not resist them. You simply refuse to absorb them. Third, practice energetic hygiene after interactions. When you leave a complainer's presence, take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, imagine releasing cords that tethered you to their heaviness. If possible, wash your hands or splash water on your face, setting the intention that you are cleansing not just your body, but your spirit. If you are more ritual-minded, a shower or salt bath can be a powerful tool for clearing residue. Some will say, "But if I do not listen, am I not abandoning them?" Here is the metaphysical paradox. True compassion is not absorbing another's suffering into yourself. That only multiplies pain. True compassion is holding space for their words without becoming entangled in them. You can listen with love while refusing to join in their energetic frequency. In fact, by staying centered, you offer them a model of grounded energy that they may one day choose to mirror. And yet, let us be honest, sometimes you must step away. Not every relationship can be healed. Not every complainer will transform. Some are so deeply invested in their identity as victims that to stay in their orbit is to slowly die. When you reach that threshold, remember this truth. Protecting your energy is not betrayal. It is self-preservation. It is honoring the divine spark within you. The constant complainer drains not through malice, but through unconsciousness. They do not know they are leaking energy, nor that they are feeding on yours. But you are not powerless. Each time you choose awareness, each time you guard your aura, each time you release what is not yours, you strengthen the luminous garment of your being. So the next time you hear the familiar rhythm of endless grievances, do not despair. See it for what it is, an invitation to remember your sovereignty. And as you walk away with your energy intact, you will know you have taken the first step in mastering the art of spiritual self-defense. Chapter 2. The Drama Magnet. There is a certain electricity that surrounds them, a charge in the air that feels alive at first but soon burns your nerves raw. With the drama magnet, nothing is ever calm. Life is a theatre, and every day unveils a new act of chaos. One moment it's an argument with a neighbour, the next a betrayal at work, then a sudden health scare that somehow resolves just in time for the next catastrophe to arrive. If you've ever felt like a side character in someone else's never-ending soap opera, you've met the drama magnet. And if you've walked away feeling wrung out, anxious, or strangely guilty for not offering more, you've already experienced how deeply they drain. On the metaphysical level, drama magnets are masters of stirring the lower vibrational fields. They thrive on activating the root and sacral chakras, the centers of survival, fear, and desire. Their stories, their crises, their emergencies are designed, often unconsciously, to pull you out of your higher awareness and trap you in their whirlpool. When you're caught in it, your intuition fades, your clarity dims, and your own energy bends toward their storm. Why do they do it? Some part of them has mistaken chaos for vitality. Intensity feels like life, even if that intensity is toxic. They may not know how to feel grounded in peace, so they substitute turmoil as proof that they are alive. But because they cannot sustain that energy alone, they draw others into the theatre, handing out unpaid roles to anyone who will listen. And if you're not careful, you find yourself scripted into battles that are not yours, arguments that leave scars on your spirit, karmic threads that weave you into their fate. This is how drama becomes entanglement. In ancient mystical traditions, cords of energy are seen as binding ties between souls. Each time you dive into someone's chaos, a cord is formed. It may be a fine thread or a thick rope, but it links your aura to theirs, transferring not only emotions, but karma. Suddenly, you dream of their problems. You replay their conflicts in your mind. You carry their storms into your workplace, your home, your body. Their chaos becomes your cross to bear, and your energy leaks like water through a cracked vessel. You may have noticed it already. A friend calls you late at night in tears over the latest betrayal. You listen for hours, giving advice, calming them, reassuring them. The next day, you are groggy, heavy, and unfocused. Meanwhile, they seem oddly energized, until the next crisis, when they return, hungry again for your light. You have become the fuel for their fire. From a psychological perspective, drama magnets are often addicted to adrenaline. Crisis releases chemicals in the body that create a rush. From a spiritual perspective, they are souls trapped in cycles of density, drawing others into their storm to avoid confronting their own emptiness. Whatever the framework, the result is the same. You feel emptied, while they, at least temporarily, feel fed. So how do you protect yourself from being consumed by their constant turbulence? The first secret is perspective. Imagine yourself not as a participant in their play, but as an observer in the audience. Their storms rage on stage, but you sit in the stillness of the theatre, watching without stepping onto the set. This shift in consciousness, what mystics call the observer stance, is the first defense. You acknowledge their story, but you do not merge with it. When you feel the pull of their crisis, ground yourself. Place your feet firmly on the earth and imagine roots sinking deep into the soil. Visualize yourself as a tree in the middle of a storm. The winds may howl, the rain may lash, but your roots are deep, your trunk strong. Your leaves may bend, but they will not break. In this imagery, you remember, their storm is not your storm. Another powerful practice is breath. When their drama rises, inhale deeply, then exhale with the intention of releasing what is not yours. Each breath becomes a reminder, this chaos is not my chaos, this storm is not my storm. I remain whole, I remain centered, I remain free. You can also use energetic imagery to protect yourself. Visualize a clear glass wall between you and them. You can see them, hear them, even care for them. But the emotional force of their crisis strikes the glass and slides down, unable to reach your heart. This is not detachment born of indifference. It is detachment born of wisdom. You honor their humanity without sacrificing your vitality. Sometimes the drama magnet will resist your boundaries. They may say, "You don't care about me," or "You're abandoning me." But listen closely. This is the voice of their addiction to chaos, not the voice of truth. Remember, every time you absorb their storm, you validate the illusion that chaos is life. By refusing to play your role, you are not abandoning them. You are giving them the chance to confront their own patterns. And yet, there will be times when you must step away completely. When the cycle repeats endlessly, when your boundaries are ignored, when your own health begins to falter, the highest act of love is distance. For only then do you honor both your spirit and theirs, trusting that they must one day face the emptiness beneath the chaos. Drama magnets drain not through cruelty, but through unconscious habit. They do not know they are spinning storms that consume others. But you are not powerless. By choosing the stance of the observer, by grounding yourself in your own roots, by maintaining clear energetic boundaries, you reclaim sovereignty. You step out of their theater and return to your own sacred stage. And here lies the transformation. Once you stop feeding their fire, you discover a deeper truth, that true vitality is not found in chaos, but in peace, that your energy is not sustained by adrenaline, but by presence, and that the greatest power you can wield in a world of storms is the unshakable calm of your own spirit. So the next time the drama magnet calls with a voice quivering with urgency, pause, breathe, step into the observer's stance, and remember, you are the still point at the center of the wheel. Their storm may rage, but it cannot reach the silence within you unless you allow it. Chapter 3. The Boundary Breaker. Boundaries are among the most misunderstood aspects of spiritual life. Too often people confuse them with walls, with cruelty, with rejection. But in truth, A boundary is sacred architecture. It is the luminous membrane that protects your temple of being. It is the invisible gate that tells the universe, "This is where I end and where you begin." And yet, the boundary breaker does not see this gate. They step across as if it does not exist, not always out of malice, but out of blindness. They call you late at night, when your spirit longs for silence. They expect you to say yes, when your heart whispers no. They insist on entering your personal space, your emotional world, your sacred energy, without ever asking permission. If you have ever felt guilty for protecting your time, ashamed for saying no, or resentful because someone took more than you offered, then you have already felt the sting of the boundary breaker. Metaphysically, boundaries are not simply social rules. They are energetic contracts. Your aura, your field of life force, thrives when it is intact, when it is sovereign. Each time you agree to something that violates your inner truth, a tear opens in that field. And through that tear, energy leaks. It may feel like fatigue, like brain fog, like a quiet ache that doesn't go away. But underneath it is the spiritual truth. You have given away a piece of your sovereignty. The boundary breaker may not even realize the harm. To them, you are simply available. To them, your yes is assumed. And why wouldn't it be? If you have said yes 100 times before, what harm is one more? But the truth is, every false yes carries weight. Every yes that silences your no chisels away at your energy body until your radiance dims and your soul whispers in protest. Ancient mystics understood this. In many traditions, the aura was seen as a shield of light, a living garment woven of divine fire. When it was intact, no harm could penetrate. But when weakened by overgiving, it became porous, vulnerable to intrusion. A torn aura cannot sustain vitality, just as a cracked vessel cannot hold water. Perhaps you have felt this yourself. You answer a call when you are exhausted. You agree to help when you have no time. You allow someone to vent for hours when your own heart is heavy. In the moment, it feels like kindness. But when the conversation ends, you feel hollow, shaky, perhaps even resentful. That resentment is the voice of your soul, reminding you that your energy was not given freely, it was taken. Psychologically, boundary violations often stem from codependency. Many of us were taught that love means self-sacrifice, that worthiness is measured by how much we give. But metaphysically, this belief is poison. For if your flame is extinguished, what light can you offer others? If your vessel is empty, what nourishment can you pour? So, how do you protect yourself from the boundary breaker? The first step is recognition. Pay attention to the subtle cues of your body. Do you tense when their name appears on your phone? Do you sigh before agreeing to their request? Do you feel drained rather than uplifted after interactions? These are not random feelings. They are the language of your energy body. Listen closely. Once you recognize the pattern, reclaim your sovereignty with intention. Imagine your aura as a radiant sphere of golden light extending a few feet in every direction. Within it, your soul rests secure. Each time someone approaches, ask yourself silently, do I open the gate or do I keep it closed? The choice is yours, and the gate opens only with your consent. When you must decline, do so with clarity, not apology. Say, I cannot take this call tonight, or I am not available for that request. Speak from truth, not from guilt. For every time you honor your no, your aura strengthens. The membrane of light heals, the leaks close, your energy replenishes. And when you feel tempted to give against your will, remember this sacred affirmation. My energy is divine. It is not infinite. I give only what I choose to give, and in that choice lies my strength. Repeat it until your spirit feels the solidity of those words. At times, boundary breakers will resist. They may accuse you of selfishness, of abandonment, of being unkind. But pause and see their reaction for what it is, evidence of their dependency, not evidence of your failure. If they loved only the version of you that always said yes, then they did not truly love you. They loved their access to you. There is a paradox here worth remembering. When you protect your boundaries, you do not diminish love. You refine it. You purify your giving so that it comes from freedom, not compulsion. A yes spoken from sovereignty carries far more power than 100 yeses spoken from guilt. Consider this imagery. You are a well of clear water. If you allow everyone to drink endlessly without replenishing, the well runs dry. But if you guard it wisely, if you allow pauses for the spring to refill, then your water remains fresh, life-giving, abundant. Boundaries are not walls that keep people thirsty. They are the rhythms that keep the well alive. And there is another truth. When you model healthy boundaries, you give others permission to do the same. You become an example of sovereignty, showing that it is possible to love deeply without self-erasure. In this way, your boundaries are not selfish acts, but spiritual teachings, silent lessons that ripple outward. Still, let us not pretend it is always easy. Many of us carry lifetimes of conditioning that say no is rejection, that boundaries are unkind. To break these patterns requires courage. At first, your voice may shake. At first, guilt may roar. But as you continue, the guilt fades, and in its place grows strength, clarity, peace. The boundary breaker drains you not always out of cruelty, but out of habit. They do not see your limits, so it is your sacred duty to show them, not with anger, not with resentment, but with unwavering truth. For when you claim your sovereignty, you teach them where their sovereignty begins. So the next time someone steps into your sacred space without invitation, pause. Breathe. Imagine your golden aura shimmering around you, and with a calm heart, remember, your energy is holy ground. You may share it when you choose, but never because you are compelled. And as you stand in that truth, you will feel something profound, the leaks close, the fatigue lift, the resentment dissolve. What remains is the luminous strength of a soul that knows its worth. That is the gift of boundaries. That is the end of the draining cycle. And that is the beginning of a life lived in sovereignty. Chapter 4. The Emotional Dumper. There is a silence that follows them, not because they are quiet, but because they leave no room for your voice. You recognize the pattern quickly. They begin with a sigh, perhaps a subtle complaint, and then it begins. A flood of emotion, story, and pain poured over you in a torrent that does not stop. Hours later, you realize you have barely spoken a word. Your role was not companion, not friend, not equal. You were a container, a vessel for all the unprocessed heaviness they could not carry alone. This is the emotional dumper. Unlike the constant complainer who thrives on negativity, the dumper seeks release. They do not want dialogue, nor perspective, nor balance. What they want is to empty themselves into you, mistaking your presence for a trash bin where they can dispose of their burdens. And once emptied, they may feel lighter, while you, unknowingly, carry the weight they shed. On the metaphysical level, emotional dumping is one of the most invasive forms of energy theft. When someone offloads their unprocessed density into your field, it does not simply bounce away. Unless you are conscious and shielded, Their emotions seep into your aura like dark ink spreading through clear water. At first you may not notice, but as the hours pass, you feel sluggish, irritated, or inexplicably sad. Their storm has lodged itself in your system, and now you are carrying their karma as though it were your own. Imagine your aura as a luminous river, flowing clear and strong. Now imagine someone pouring buckets of mud into it. The river still flows, but its clarity is lost. Your spirit feels cloudy, your thoughts confused, your body heavy. That is the impact of emotional dumping. Science echoes this truth. Neurological studies show that our mirror neurons resonate with the emotions of those around us. When someone pours despair into us without pause, our brains literally begin to mirror their emotional state. Their heaviness becomes our heaviness, and unless we release it consciously, it clings, altering our mood, our choices, even our health. There is a critical distinction here: healthy sharing versus dumping. Healthy sharing is reciprocal. It is an exchange where one reveals their truth and invites connection. It seeks healing. Emotional dumping, on the other hand, seeks only to unload. It demands a listener but refuses dialogue. It does not invite connection but creates imbalance. And an imbalance is always draining. Perhaps you have felt it with a friend who calls only when life collapses, never when joy blooms. Or with a family member who speaks endlessly of their wounds, but never asks about yours. The dynamic is always the same. They pour, you absorb. And when the conversation ends, they may thank you, or perhaps not. But you are left aching, as though their sadness has become your shadow. Metaphysically, this act is not neutral. When you carry emotions that are not yours, you take on karmic threads that were never meant to bind you. You walk away thinking of their pain, replaying their stories, even feeling guilt for not helping enough. Meanwhile, your own soul whispers, neglected, beneath the noise of burdens that were never yours. So how do you protect yourself from the emotional dumper without closing your heart to compassion? The key is discernment. Compassion does not mean absorption. Love does not mean self-erasure. True spiritual maturity is knowing how to hold space for another's pain without becoming their storage container. One powerful practice is the river visualization. As they speak, imagine a clear, rushing river flowing between you. Their words reach your ears, but their emotional density falls into the river, carried downstream, away from your field. You witness their story without taking it in. You are present, but you remain sovereign. Another tool is the simple but profound question, is this mine? When you feel a sudden heaviness in your chest, or a wave of sadness after an encounter, pause. Ask yourself, is this truly my emotion, or have I absorbed someone else's? If it is not yours, exhale it. Imagine releasing it into the earth, into the light, into the infinite, where it can be transformed. There are also physical rituals that cleanse the residue. Water is the most ancient purifier. After an encounter with a dumper, wash your hands with intention, visualizing the heaviness flowing down the drain. If the interaction was especially intense, take a shower and imagine the water carrying away what is not yours. Salt baths are powerful allies, as salt has long been seen as a substance that draws out and neutralizes energy. Even holding a crystal like black tourmaline or obsidian can anchor your field and absorb the excess density. But beyond energetic tools, there is a deeper task, learning to set limits with love. The emotional dumper will rarely stop unless you establish boundaries. This does not mean harsh rejection. It means truth spoken with clarity. You might say, I care about you, but I don't have the energy to hold this right now. Or, I can listen for a few minutes, but then I need to shift. At first, they may resist. They may accuse you of not caring. But remember, their resistance does not define your compassion. Protecting your energy is itself an act of love, toward yourself, and ultimately, toward them. For when you refuse to absorb, you invite them to face what they have avoided. There's also wisdom in delay. The 24-hour rule can be a lifesaver. When someone comes with an avalanche of emotion, you can say, "I hear you. Let me sit with this and I'll respond tomorrow." This simple pause protects you from reactive entanglement and gives you space to discern what is truly yours to hold. At times, you may need to walk away entirely. Some relationships are built solely on dumping, with no reciprocity, no growth. In such cases, distance is not cruelty, it is liberation. For your soul deserves companions who bring light as well as shadow, who give as well as take. The emotional dumper drains not because they are evil, but because they have never learned to transmute their own pain. They treat others as extensions of themselves, unaware of the energetic violence they commit. But you are not helpless. With awareness, with practice, with clear boundaries, you can remain compassionate without being consumed. And here is the paradox. When you refuse to be their vessel, you give them a gift. You give them the opportunity to finally turn inward, to meet their pain face to face, to discover that healing cannot be outsourced. Only then can they begin the alchemy of transformation. So the next time you find yourself buried beneath someone else's storm, pause, breathe, ask, "Is this mine?" Feel the river flowing, the shield shimmering, the light around you bright and whole. And remember, compassion is not measured by how much pain you absorb, but by how much light you can hold steady in the presence of another's shadow. That is the higher path. That is the end of draining cycles. And that is how you walk away from the emotional dumper with your spirit intact, your aura luminous, and your energy still your own. Chapter 5. The Chronic Critic. There are words that nourish, and there are words that wound. You know the difference instantly. Encouragement expands you, while criticism shrinks you. A compliment makes your chest feel open. A harsh remark makes your shoulders tighten, your stomach knot, your spirit recoil. The chronic critic thrives on this reaction. They may not raise their voice, they may not show rage, but their words are arrows tipped with poison. And if you let them, those arrows will pierce your aura until your very sense of self leaks away. The chronic critic does not always appear as an enemy. Sometimes they are a parent, a teacher, a boss, or a friend. They may even believe they are helping you, toughening you up, or telling you the truth, but beneath that facade lies an energy that slowly drains. For the critic's gaze is trained always on what is lacking, what is flawed, what is unworthy. And when you are near them, your energy field bends under the weight of that gaze, as though you were constantly walking against the wind. Metaphysically, criticism is not just sound, it is vibration. Words are spells, incantations of energy that enter your field the moment they are spoken. Ancient traditions understood this clearly. In many cultures, curses were nothing more than words repeated with intent, shaping the field of the one who received them. Today we dismiss them as just words, yet science confirms what mystics always knew. Words affect physiology. A harsh remark raises cortisol, alters brain activity, and weakens immunity. And metaphysically, it tears small rents in the aura where light leaks and shadow seeps in. Think of your aura as a luminous cloak shimmering around you. The chronic critic's words strike like darts, puncturing holes that let your confidence bleed out. At first, the leaks are small. You question a choice, doubt your intuition, hesitate before speaking. But over time, the accumulation grows. The once bright cloak becomes thin, ragged, vulnerable. You wonder why you no longer feel radiant. The answer is simple. Too many words of harm have drained your light. Perhaps you remember moments from childhood when a careless remark etched itself into your soul. You'll never amount to anything. Why can't you be more like them? That's not good enough. Decades may pass, but those words echo still, reverberating through your field, shaping the script of your inner voice. This is the deepest wound of the chronic critic. Not only do they steal energy in the moment, they plant seeds of doubt that sprout into self-sabotage long after they are gone. Why do critics do this? Often, they are projecting their own wounds. Their inner world is filled with shadows they cannot face, so they cast those shadows outward, hoping to relieve themselves of the burden. To belittle you is to briefly feel superior. To cut you down is to momentarily silence their own inner critic. But the relief is fleeting, and so the cycle repeats again and again. Psychology explains this as projection. Metaphysics frames it as energetic transference. Both reveal the same truth. Their criticism is not about you, it is about them. Yet when you absorb it unconsciously, you take their shadow into your field, carrying a wound that was never yours to bear. How do you defend yourself against this subtle but powerful drain? The first step is remembering that words are spells only if you accept them. When a critic speaks, imagine their words as arrows flying toward you. Now visualize a circle of mirrors surrounding your aura. The arrows strike the mirrors and rebound, returning to their source. But here is the key. The mirrors do not send back poison. They transform the energy, reflecting not harm, but light. The critic's words return to them as lessons, as healing, as opportunities for growth. Nothing lodges in your field. Another practice is to claim your worth aloud. After an encounter with a critic, whisper to yourself, "I am whole. I am sovereign." Their words are not my truth. Speak it until your spirit believes it. Words wound, but words also heal. Your affirmations reseal the holes, patch the leaks, restore the cloak of your aura. It is also vital to recognize the difference between constructive guidance and chronic criticism. Constructive feedback comes with care, with timing, with balance. It seeks to uplift, even as it challenges. Chronic criticism, by contrast, diminishes without offering light. If every word from someone leaves you smaller, you're not receiving guidance, you're absorbing poison. And it is your right, your sacred duty, to refuse it. Sometimes the critic will resist your refusal. They may accuse you of being too sensitive, too weak, or unable to handle the truth, but pause and notice. Why is it considered a weakness to protect your spirit? Why is it sensitive to honor your energy? These accusations are nothing more than the critic's attempt to maintain their access to your field. Do not yield. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is wisdom. For only the sensitive can perceive the subtle theft of energy, and only the wise can stop it. There may be times when you must create distance. If the critic is relentless, if their words never soften, if your spirit shrinks each time you encounter them, then stepping away is not betrayal. It is liberation. For your soul was not created to live in a field of daggers. Your soul was born to shine. And yet, even as you protect yourself, remember this. The critic is also a wounded being. Their words reveal their pain. When you see them clearly, you can respond not with anger, but with clarity. You do not absorb, you do not retaliate, but you also do not hate. You stand in your sovereignty, wrapped in your luminous cloak, and silently bless them with the hope that they too will one day heal their inner critic. There's a freedom that comes when you stop fearing their words. You realize they have no power unless you give it. You realize that every criticism is a choice point, to absorb or to release, to shrink or to expand, to doubt or to trust yourself. And each time you choose release, expansion, trust, you grow stronger. So the next time a chronic critic speaks, pause. Do not flinch. Do not bend. Breathe deeply and see their words as arrows that cannot pierce your light. Stand tall in your cloak of radiance, mirrors reflecting harm into healing, your heart unbroken, your soul untouchable. This is the art of spiritual defense. This is the end of the critic's drain. And this is the beginning of a life where your voice, your worth, and your energy remain sovereign, whole, and free. Chapter 6. Cleansing and restoring your energy. Even when we learn to recognize the complainer, the drama magnet, the boundary breaker, the emotional dumper, and the critic, there are moments when their residue still lingers. It clings to the edges of your aura like dust on a mirror, dulling your reflection. It lingers in your chest like smoke after a fire, even when the flames are gone. Protection alone is not enough. We must also learn the art of cleansing and the grace of restoration. Think of it this way. Your physical body needs hygiene every day. No matter how careful you are, dust collects, sweat builds, and the environment leaves its mark. Without bathing, the body grows heavy, stagnant, and unwell. Your energy body is no different. Every interaction leaves an imprint. Every space you enter leaves a trace. To keep your aura bright, cleansing must become as natural as washing your hands, as essential as drinking water. Water has always been humanity's greatest ally in purification. Across traditions, rivers, seas, and sacred baths have been revered as portals of renewal. When you stand beneath the stream of a shower, imagine more than water touching your skin. See it as liquid light cascading down, washing away not only dirt, but also every fragment of energy that is not yours. With each drop, whisper, "I release, I release, I release." Watch the heaviness swirl down the drain, back into the earth to be transmuted into neutral force. Salt amplifies this cleansing power. A salt bath is more than relaxation, it is alchemy. Salt draws density out of the body, dissolving it into water so your aura can regain its clarity. For thousands of years, healers and mystics used salt to neutralize stagnant vibrations, sprinkling it across thresholds, mixing it into sacred water, carrying it in small pouches as protection. When you submerge in salt water, imagine the crystalline structure of each grain pulling threads of darkness from your field, leaving you luminous and free. If water is not available, breath can be just as powerful. Breath is prana, the very current of life. Try this. Inhale deeply, gathering with your intention all the heaviness you've absorbed. Hold for a moment, and then exhale with force, expelling what is not yours. Do this 3 times, and you will feel your field clear like fog lifting from a valley. Or practice alternate nostril breathing, balancing your nervous system, harmonizing the dual currents of energy that flow through your subtle body. In just minutes, the residue dissolves, and your spirit feels steady again. Movement, too, is a purifier. Watch animals in the wild after trauma. They shake, tremble, release. The body knows how to let go, but we, in our civilized stillness, often forget. Shake your hands, your shoulders, your entire body. Dance without rhythm, without purpose, simply to move energy through and out. Stretch your chest open, your hips wide, letting old emotions locked in muscles finally flow. Every movement becomes an exorcism, every breath a chant, every gesture a reclamation of space within your own body. And then there is sound. Sound is vibration, and vibration is the language of energy. A bell, a singing bowl, even the clap of your hands can shatter stagnation. Walk through your home, clapping, ringing, chanting, declaring with every sound, "This space is mine. This space is clear." You will feel the air shift, lighter, brighter, as if invisible cobwebs have been swept away. Crystals and sacred smoke are other ancient allies. Burn sage or Palo Santo not out of superstition, but out of recognition. Smoke rises, carrying with it what no longer belongs. Place black tourmaline or obsidian at your doorway, guardians of your space, grounding your field. Hold clear quartz to amplify intention, selenite to wash your aura with light. These are not mere stones or herbs. They are tools, physical anchors for the unseen work of purification. But cleansing is only half the journey. Once you release, you must restore. Imagine pouring water from a cracked vessel. If you only patch the cracks but never refill, the vessel remains empty. So too with your energy. After you cleanse, you must invite life back in, recharging your aura until it overflows again. Nature is the greatest restorer. Walk barefoot on the earth and let its quiet electricity ground you. Lie beneath a tree and feel its calm stability recalibrate your nervous system. Watch the sunrise and let its fire kindle your spirit. Breathe in the scent of flowers, the hush of wind, the rhythm of waves, and remember that you are not separate from this world. You are part of its living current, always able to draw strength from its infinite supply. Silence is another restorer, a forgotten treasure in our noisy age. Carve out moments of solitude, even brief ones, where no voice but your own spirit can be heard. In silence, the fragments of your energy gather again, weaving themselves into wholeness. In silence, your soul remembers its rhythm. Creativity is restoration, disguised as play. Write, paint, sing, dance, not for outcome, but for joy. Each act of creation awakens the flow of energy, realigning you with the source that birthed all things. When you create, you mirror the Creator, and in that mirroring, your vitality is renewed. Food and water can also become restoration rituals. Eat slowly, consciously, blessing each bite. Drink water as though it were liquid sunlight. What you consume is not only nutrition, but vibration. Choose what uplifts, what clarifies, what harmonizes. And never underestimate the restorative power of laughter and love. Time spent with those who truly see you, who respect your boundaries, who celebrate your light, fills you faster than any ritual. Genuine connection is a fountain of energy. Seek it, honor it, and let it nourish you. Finally, speak gratitude. Gratitude shifts your frequency from depletion to abundance. Each time you give thanks, your aura expands, glowing brighter, becoming magnetic to more joy. Gratitude is not only an emotion, it is a spiritual technology, one of the fastest ways to restore what life has drained. Cleansing and restoring are not luxuries. They are necessities. Just as you would not go weeks without bathing, do not go days without tending to your energy. Make it daily. Make it simple. Make it sacred. Perhaps a shower with intention each morning, a breath ritual at night, a walk in nature each week, a salt bath when heaviness lingers. Build these rhythms until they are as natural as brushing your teeth. Remember, protection keeps harm out, but cleansing removes what slipped through, and restoration ensures your light burns bright again. Together, they form the cycle of energetic hygiene that sustains your vitality. So the next time you feel drained after an encounter, do not despair. Step into water, into breath, into sound, into silence. Release what is not yours. Restore what is. And watch as your aura shines again like the garment of light it was always meant to be. Chapter 7. Creating a Circle of High-Frequency Relationships. Up to this point, we've walked together through the shadow side of human connection, the complainer, the drama magnet, the boundary breaker, the emotional dumper, the critic. We've seen how each drains life force, how their presence can leave you diminished, and how awareness and spiritual practices can protect you. But there is another side to this path, one just as essential. It is not enough to recognize what depletes. We must also consciously choose what restores. This is the art of creating a circle of high-frequency relationships. Imagine your energy field as a great fire. Every encounter with a drainer steals a log from your fire pit, leaving the flames weaker, the warmth fading. But when you are surrounded by high-frequency souls, people whose energy resonates with truth, love, and authenticity, something miraculous happens. They place logs on your fire. They feed your flame even as you feed theirs. Together you burn brighter, warmer, stronger. Metaphysics names this the law of resonance. Energy vibrates at certain frequencies, and like attracts like. When you dwell in low vibration, you attract low vibration. Complainers seek other complainers, critics seek other critics. But when you raise your frequency, you magnetize a different circle. You draw to yourself people who nourish, inspire, uplift. They are not perfect, but they are conscious. They bring energy rather than stealing it. So how do you recognize a high-frequency person? The signs are subtle but unmistakable. After spending time with them, you feel lighter, not heavier. Your chest feels open, not tight. Your thoughts are clearer, your heart steadier, your spirit expanded. Conversations flow in both directions. There is give and receive, listening and sharing. They respect your no. They honor your boundaries. They celebrate your victories without envy and sit with you in sorrow without judgment. They bring presence, not performance, sincerity, not spectacle. Psychologically, these are people with emotional regulation, self-awareness, and empathy. Spiritually, these are souls whose auras are strong, luminous, and unclouded by constant negativity. Their presence calibrates you upward, just as a tuning fork brings another into harmony. They are walking blessings, reminders that not all connections drain, some connections heal. If you have ever had the fortune of such a companion, you know the difference. A conversation that leaves you energized for days. A friend whose laughter feels like medicine. A mentor whose words unlock doors in your heart you didn't know were closed. These are not accidents. They are proof that energy exchange can be holy. But building a circle of high-frequency relationships requires discernment. It requires that you stop chasing those who drain, stop settling for those who diminish, and begin curating your inner circle as carefully as a gardener tends the soil. Not everyone can walk close to your flame. Not everyone has earned the intimacy of your spirit. This is not cruelty. It is wisdom. Begin by examining the relationships you already have. Who leaves you feeling radiant? Who leaves you empty? Who respects your sacred no, and who punishes you for it? Notice the patterns, and let that noticing be the beginning of your curation. Then, become the kind of person you wish to attract. High-frequency relationships are reciprocal. If you want friends who inspire, be inspiring. If you want companions who uplift, be uplifting. If you want respect, practice respect. The law of resonance works both ways. You draw what you are. So as you cultivate your own light, you naturally magnetize those who carry light as well. There is also great power in community. Seek groups, circles, spaces where the collective energy uplifts. A meditation group, a spiritual community, A class filled with seekers, these are wells of shared frequency where you can drink deeply without fear of being drained. Unlike one-on-one relationships, which can sometimes tilt into imbalance, communities spread the energy, weaving a net of support that holds everyone. But even within the community, practice discernment. Not every group that calls itself spiritual is aligned with truth. Ask yourself, do I feel brighter after this gathering? Or do I feel smaller? Do I feel empowered or manipulated? Your body always knows. Trust its wisdom. And then there is the art of letting go. Some relationships cannot walk with you into higher frequency. As you grow, as your aura strengthens, as your vibration rises, certain companions will resist. They may mock your practices, belittle your boundaries, or simply fade away. This is not failure. This is natural. As you ascend, you change orbit, and not everyone is meant to ascend with you. Letting them go is not betrayal, it is alignment. At first, this can feel lonely. You may fear that releasing drainers will leave you with no one. But the emptiness is temporary. The universe abhors a vacuum. When you clear space in your field, new souls arrive, souls aligned with who you are becoming, not who you once were. Patience is required, but the reward is profound. Consider this. Your life force is the most precious currency you own. Would you invest it in someone who only spends it wastefully? Or would you invest it in someone who multiplies it, who inspires you to grow, who reflects your best self back to you? Your circle is your temple. Choose its members with reverence. And here lies the paradox. The more you protect your energy from drainers, the more energy you have to give freely to those who uplift. With high-frequency companions, giving does not deplete, it expands. You pour into them, they pour into you, and both cups overflow. This is the miracle of aligned relationships. So ask yourself, who belongs in the sacred circle around your fire? Who adds logs, who steals them, who respects the flame, and who tries to control it? Curate with courage. The quality of your relationships will determine the quality of your energy, and the quality of your energy will determine the quality of your life. In the end, creating a circle of high-frequency relationships is not just about choosing others. It is about choosing yourself. It is about declaring, "My energy is sacred. My spirit deserves companionship that nourishes, not drains. My light deserves to shine in the presence of those who see it and celebrate it." When you live from this truth, you will find that your life fills with people who do not deplete you, but ignite you, who do not steal your light, but magnify it, who do not demand your energy, but dance with it. And then you will know that relationships are not chains, but wings, that together souls can lift each other higher than they could ever fly alone. Conclusion: living with energetic awareness. We have walked together through 7 great lessons, each revealing how your energy, your most sacred currency, is shaped, stolen, or restored. You've seen how the constant complainer weaves cords of lack around you, how the drama magnet entangles you in their storms, how the boundary breaker trespasses your sacred field, how the emotional dumper pours heaviness into your aura, and how the critic launches arrows that pierce your sense of worth. You've learned how to cleanse, how to restore, how to curate a circle of souls who amplify your light instead of dimming it. But here, at the threshold of closing, comes the most important truth of all. Your energy is sovereign. Always has been. Always will be. What drains you can only do so with your permission, conscious or unconscious. And what nourishes you arrives in proportion to your willingness to receive. Energy awareness is not a destination, but a lifelong practice. Just as you breathe every day, eat every day, and move every day, so too must you tend to your aura. Some days you will feel radiant, some days porous. Some days you will hold your boundaries with grace, other days you will slip and feel drained. None of this is failure, it is simply the rhythm of being human. What matters is awareness. What matters is returning, again and again, to the remembrance that your life force is sacred, that you have the right to protect it, that you can always reclaim it. Notice the patterns. When do you feel most alive? When do you feel most diminished? Who leaves your spirit humming and who leaves it hollow? This noticing is itself a form of power, for when you notice, you awaken, and when you awaken, you can choose. Metaphysics teaches us that attention is energy. Wherever you place your focus, there your life force flows. If you dwell endlessly on those who drain, you magnify their presence. But if you turn your gaze toward those who uplift, those who inspire, those who mirror your highest self, you magnify the light. Your circle shifts, your reality shifts, and your life begins to vibrate at a higher frequency. This is why boundaries matter, why cleansing matters, and why restoration matters. They are not acts of selfishness, but acts of service. For a person whose energy is intact, it is not only stronger for themselves, but also a clearer vessel for others. Your protected, restored energy becomes a blessing to your family, your community, your world. To tend your aura is to honor the divine spark entrusted to you, and in honoring it, you radiate healing wherever you go. Imagine what your life becomes when you embody this. You walk into a room and do not shrink, because you know your light cannot be stolen. You meet a complainer and listen with compassion, but you do not absorb their lack. You encounter a critic, but their words fall against your shield and dissolve. You notice a drama unfolding, but you remain in the still center, unshaken. You leave interactions whole, undiminished, sovereign, and beyond defense, you also create. You call into your circle companions of resonance, people who add logs to your fire rather than stealing them. Together, you weave a network of high-frequency souls, a constellation of light on this earth. Imagine what the world becomes when more of us live this way, not drained, not diminished, but radiant, sovereign, alive. This is the invitation, to live not as a victim of unseen forces, but as a conscious guardian of your own vitality. To claim your birthright as a being of light, whose energy is not to be squandered but to be honored. To remember that your aura is your temple, your boundaries its walls, your choices its guardians. So as this journey closes, breathe deeply. Place a hand on your chest. Feel the steady rhythm of your heart. Whisper to yourself, "My energy is sacred. I release what is not mine. I choose to live radiant, sovereign, whole." Carry this truth into your days. Protect your flame. Cleanse your field. Restore your vitality. And choose your circle with reverence. For in doing so, you honor not only yourself, but also the divine source that flows through you. Your energy is your life. Guard it, celebrate it, and let it shine.